back to MUFC versus everybody. I am your host, Sean, and today we are diving into my three thoughts following our 2-all draw at home against Liverpool in the Premier League. Biggest match of the season in the league. I don't care about City, Liverpool. I don't care about Arsenal, anybody, honestly. United versus Liverpool at Old Trafford. Biggest match of the season, no matter any way you slice it. Before we get started, though, don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. If you're new, please don't forget to share it if you think other people, might find it funny, if you think other people disagree, if you think other people should see it, or if you just want to tell people, look at this guy, has no clue what he's talking about. Share it. It's cool. I'll take it. As long as it gets everybody engaged, gets people talking, gets people interacting. I'd love to, help the channel grow a little bit, and, that's through you guys. I really appreciate all the views and the likes I've had so far. And, I love in the future to do some live shows, maybe do some call-ins, maybe feature some guests as well. So we can only get to that point if you guys keep following, keep engaging. So a big up so far, and I appreciate it if you just keep that momentum. Big shout out to Detroit Red Devils supporter group. They're a United officially recognized supporters group that meets in Troy at Loaded Dice Brewery. Big up to Loaded Dice. They partnered with Detroit Red Devils. They open the brewery early, sometimes on match days, right? And it's just us. We're hanging out. I'm really glad to be able to join them for several matches over the last few seasons. And Jeff, the owner of Loaded Dice, he's such a big help, such a big supporter of the group. And I think he's coming along to be a big United supporter as well. He opens up early, like I said, and he crafts some amazing drinks, from stouts to lagers, IPAs, and so if you're ever in Troy and you're in need of some refreshment or just in need of a good time, I know they do trivia throughout the weeks as well. Check out Loaded Dice Brewery in Troy, Michigan. Again, big shout out to Loaded Dice and big shout out to Detroit Red Devils, really helping connect United supporters in Southeast Michigan. So big up, really thankful to join those guys. It's always a blast whenever I hang out with them. So, three thoughts on United versus Liverpool. Obviously, it was a 2-all draw at home. As I was making a list of things I wanted to talk about this match, I kind of shied away from a lot of the things that we've already discussed a little bit. I didn't want to keep beating a dead horse with a lot of that stuff. We don't need to keep rehashing it. But I did have some thoughts that I wanted to make sure I touched upon. So let's dive right in. First thing, small moments have a big impact. I've mentioned it before, my analogy about how even pebbles make large ripples, right? It's the same in football. Like a math problem or like baking a complicated dish, one slip up at any point in a process pretty much ruins the end product. That's why I hate math. Ugh, it's gross. That's why I hate baking. Gross. There's nothing more frustrating than going through all these steps, putting it in, and then just letting something sit for an hour and hoping it turns out. I prefer to get, involved on the stovetop, slice and dice, shake and move. I get it, but there's a whole separate thing. So again, small moments, we would win the ball, launch an attack, only for it to break down due to just one little moment, like a poor final ball from Bruno, early on in the match yesterday, if you remember that, or like Rashford holding on to the ball a little too much, a little too long, and losing possession or like seeing it go out of play. We've seen that many, many times, right? Much to the frustration of Højlund too, by the way. If you caught that yesterday, Højlund going in on Rashford for that, and he's done that a couple times, Højlund, and there's nothing wrong with that. I encourage that. It shows he's got the right personality. It shows that he's not afraid to let Rashford or any of his teammates know. Remember early on, in the season, when our wingers weren't finding him, they were, Garnacho and Rashford were a little selfish, and they were cutting in more often than trying to shoot rather than find him. And he wasn't afraid to let him know, like, no, you need to play that ball. I'm here. Play it in. And he's shown that he can get on the end of that. He's got that poacher's, that striker's mentality. He knows where to position himself. He knows where the danger is going to be. And he does a lot when he has scored goals to kind of make those chances for himself because he gets no service. It's a thankless job being a United striker, and it has been for a few years now. So big up to Højlund for giving it to Rashford in that moment. But yeah, another one of those small moments. In matches like these, or matches at this level, period, you have to capitalize on these opportunities. You have to take advantage because you're not going to get very many of them, especially against a team like Liverpool. And we're just not there yet. We're not there to consistently take advantage of these opportunities. And whether that's down to quality, whether that's down to mentality, whether it's down to fitness, injuries, whatever you want to call it, we are not there yet. We have to raise the floor of our performances. We have to raise the floor of our squad, like I said yesterday, and we are just not there yet. We're not consistent. We have a perfect storm of players who lack composure in those moments, who lack football IQ, lack the ability, lack the mentality to make those right decisions. And then we also have youngsters who are going to be inconsistent, who don't quite have the experience yet, even though Kabi Manu looks like he's 27 years old the way he plays. We'll get there though. It's going to take a bit of time to get there. Ineos is going to do an assessment of the squad. Obviously, they're going to revamp kind of the identity of the squad. Ten Hag still has some work to do with his talent ID and getting the squad that he needs. Dutch managers tend to be system over player, and so we're going to see more of that. The small moments in defense matter as well. We've been riding our luck, like I've said, but you can only get lucky so many times. You can only scrape by through so many small moments in your defensive third before you reach that one moment that proved to be one too much, before, where a lapse in concentration or just a mistake by one individual ends up being costly. For Liverpool's first goal, no one picks up Diaz, right? Which, that's not a Ten Hag thing. You can say, well, he needs to fix that. Well, that's also these same players that have been making that same error for years. Remember under Ollie in the Champions League against Leipzig, just fall asleep on the back post, not marking that player on these set pieces or in open play even. We do that time and time again. Our fullbacks they don't pick up the back post, and it's a problem. And it's not Ten Hag's fault, but it is an issue that he really needs to address because it's costing us. It has cost us in the past, and it cost us yesterday with that opener. And then also, we switch off a bit late in the second half, and Liverpool ultimately scored. It's just these little moments, and they prove costly against Brentford, they prove costly against Chelsea, and they prove costly against Liverpool. Casemiro putting the ball out when Diaz went down injured. Another example of a small moment that could have been costly, and it was unnecessary. Casemiro didn't need to do that. He's an experienced competitor. He should know better. The ref's not blowing the whistle. We're playing on. It's not a head injury. I don't know what he was thinking there. Like we had the ball. We were taking care of the ball, and the ref wants to blow. Cool, let the ref blow the whistle, but don't make that decision for him. Let's keep going. Diaz was fine. And then Casemiro gets a thumbs up from Klopp. But I mean, it's like, would Liverpool have done the same had it been the other way around? Had it been any United player that had gone down and Bruno had gone down? Garnacho, would Liverpool have kicked the ball out of touch? Probably not. Those kind of moments that can be difference makers. And we have too many of them. Number two, we are not a 90-minute team right now. I know football matches, you see momentum swing, run of play, right? Against the run of play, how many times you see it, throughout 90 minutes. But United have not been a team that shows up for 90 minutes for many, many years. You remember under Ollie when we were called a one-half team, oftentimes it would take us conceding a goal, and then we would just go Super Saiyan, turn it around, and somehow come back with a win, or at least salvage a point. But we just don't show up, And under Ten Hag, you can say it's been worse. And I think that is a tactical thing, not as a Ten Hag's tactics are wrong. I think it's the players they don't understand, or they give up on the tactics, or they're just not fit enough to do it. Because we also saw it under Rangnick. You remember when Rangnick came in and tried to introduce a high press and introduce a little bit of a different formation, a little bit different of tactics. The players would do it for a few minutes, and then that was it. We show up in spurts, 15, 20-minute spurts. We stick to the plan, put in the work, but then when it doesn't work or we can see a goal, heads drop, players just start going rogue and not listening, and it all falls apart, and you can't do that. You need to stick with it. And even if there's a mistake, even if there's a couple steps backward, you need to stick with it. Because it's not fair to say something's not working if you're not even giving it a chance. And that's not just physically, but mentally. You have to believe in it. Whether you think it's going to work, whether you're not, just give it an honest effort, and it could work. But you don't know until you give it a chance. Liverpool all over us in that first half. They dominated the ball. They put in 15 shots, and we had 0 shots in the first half. It was part of the plan, Obviously, it doesn't look good, but it was part of the plan. Again, like we said, that's what you do against this Liverpool side. Our defensive stats were much, much higher than theirs in the first half, but it's still not a good look. And then we take control for a little bit. We capitalize on some mistakes. But again, we just can't maintain that focus or that composure for extended period of time, especially when we're trying to protect a lead later on in the match. And then we concede that equalizer because of that, and it was a BS penalty. It was not even a penalty. If you watch some of the slow-mo replays of that Wan-Bissaka tackle that have been going around the internet, there's not even any contact. He doesn't make contact with his leading foot. He doesn't make contact with his trailing foot. The only thing that does make contact is Harvey Elliott, who was already going down at this point, by the way. He's already looking for it. Drags his foot and kicks Wan-Bissaka's already extended leading foot. Not a penalty in a month of Sundays. PGMOL is not fit for purpose. VAR is not fit for purpose. They didn't show any replays on TV like you see for all this other crap. It's ridiculous. But nobody wants to ruin Klopp's farewell party except United, apparently. Number 3, the youngsters shine. What a performance from the youngsters in recent weeks this season. Kambwala yesterday, big shout out. What a force he was for a youngster. For a side decimated with injuries, we've had 31 different back lines this season, and we've only had our first choice back 4 for one match. For a side going through that, to turn to a teenager to partner Harry Maguire against this Liverpool side was a big ask. But Kambwala rose to the occasion, and he was powerful, he was fast, he can pass the ball. He gets what it means to be a United player. He gets what it means on this occasion, this match. He was constantly getting the crowd into it, in by our goal, flying into tackles. Just what a performance! That's all I can say. He looks like a good player, and he's tall too. I didn't realize how tall he was, but he's a unit. It was such a poor call though to call that foul against him when he won that ball in that challenge. He won the ball, didn't really make any contact. It's just more histrionics and theatrics and dramatics from Liverpool players and Klopp in particular. It's the refs will talk about, like, we don't like to give calls in certain occasions. We recognize the occasions. That's what Howard Webb said. But some of the penalties and stuff that we've been called versus some of the non-calls that we've seen throughout the season, it's just do better, refs, do better, league, do better, PGMOL, and do better explaining your decisions too, because some of the waffling and hypocrisy that you guys come out with on Ref Watch is just baffling and embarrassing. Mainu too was stellar again. We surprised at this point. Not only was that finish for his goal just brilliant, but it once again demonstrated how composed he is under pressure in that area, with surrounded by Liverpool players, to turn and just place that shot the way he did. That's a thing of beauty, and you love to see it. And again, how much composure do we see like that from other players in United? How much composure do you see like that from a whole lot of players in the league? It's like he doesn't even care or even see. It's like he's just on the pitch by himself, no one else there, and he's just having fun. And it's like, for players who don't look like they're trying, who don't look like they're putting an effort like that, that's a good thing. It just looked like he's a step ahead of everybody mentally. And then, while they didn't get minutes, it was nice to see Amas and Agonie get experience with the first team. Obviously, they've been training with the first team. They were on the bench this week. I know Forson was on the bench as well. But for the biggest match in the league, to make the bench, it's a good experience for them. To get there, to be in that atmosphere, to be there with the crowd getting into it, to be there with their teammates. That's a big deal for them, and that's helps them in their development and their experience. Considering what we have left to play for, I wouldn't be surprised, and I would probably want to see a couple more youngsters just see some more minutes. I don't necessarily count Amad Diallo as a youngster. He was bought after he's already played first team with Atalanta. He's bought by Ali. He's 2021 now. And he's been on loan and he's gotten many first events. I don't consider him a youngster. He's young, but he's not a youngster. But we've got academy products who I think could do with some minutes. And like I said, not much to play for season-wise. Obviously, I don't think Ten Hag is going to risk it. I think Ten Hag is going to try to get as many points as he can. And whether or not he wants to throw caution to the wind and play more youngsters. If it's an injury needs must situation, or if it's let's just do it, to give something different, to give some of that energy, some of that spark, some of that precociousness. Who knows? I'd like to see it. I know you guys would like to see it, but it's about calculated risk at this point in time. Mathematically, yeah, we could still qualify. I don't think it's going to happen. You're relying on Villa and Spurs dropping a lot of points, but who knows? Could happen. Again, it's disappointing to concede another soft penalty and drop points at home, but against this Liverpool side, I'll take it. I think a lot of people would take it. I watch a lot of other fan channels, and they'll take it. It is what it is. Context is key, like I always say. Klopp ends his Liverpool career with just one win against Ten Hag, and he drops points twice this season against one of the worst United sides we've ever seen. And we also knocked him out of the FA Cup. Again, I'll take it. Liverpool can hold that. Klopp can hold that, and stick that in his hat and carry it home. I don't mind being the party poopers for Liverpool. I don't have a problem with that. They came in with chest, talking about quadruples, talking about this and that, and it is what it is. By the way, is there a more whiny, miserable, deflecting, childish manager right now than Jurgen Klopp? We saw him running his mouth after they got knocked out of the FA Cup, throwing a fit, taking the interviewer's microphone, and even now, after in this post-match interview, he's, instead of saying anything productive or mature, it's, well, I think, Arsenal will beat United if they play that way. Like, it's just such a deflection. And I know managers to a certain degree have to do that, but the way Klopp does it, man, it's just cringe, and it's whiny, and it just comes off as just petulant. And I can't wait to see the back of him. He's been such an overhyped manager for so many years, and it's nice. It'll be nice to see the drop off when he leaves. Liverpool to get knocked back down to reality. He got one league, one Champions League, and yeah, there's nothing to, those are trophies, and they're big trophies, right? And it's a big deal. But how long it took him to challenge, and the way that they've just fell off since 2019, and it's still just they're still propped up as the best team in the league, even though they dropped points to us several times and they've gotten beaten by us in the FA Cup. Like, what does that say about them? Those are my three takeaways from our 2-2 draw against Liverpool. I had more thoughts, like I said. Some of them are pretty much rehashing what we've already talked about. Small moments have big impacts. We're not a 90-minute team, and the youth shines. Those three takeaways, and let me know if you agree or disagree. Share your thoughts on the video. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe, please. It really helps the channel, and it helps me get more interactive with you guys. I'd love to have some people on in the future. Love to get some guests on here, and we'll go from there. Give us a follow on Twitter, MUFC versus everybody, and we will see you next time. Thank you.